Everyone is Addicted is a judgment-free space for real conversations about addiction. It's a show about breaking the stigma and building empathy. Everyone is Addicted, Mondays at 11 p.m.
What's going on, everybody? This is the host of Recover Out Loud podcast, Sean Young. Before we dive in, I want to be clear. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not here to diagnose or treat. I'm simply a catalyst, someone who's walked through the fire and now speaks from experience, reflection, and a deep desire to help others find their way forward. This podcast may include honest conversations about addiction, mental health challenges, and suicidal thoughts or ideations. These are real parts of the human experience, and we won't shy away from them. If you're listening, please do so with self-care and self-awareness. And if you're struggling, please reach out. There's help out there. And most importantly, there's hope. Viewer discretion is advised. Now let's get it. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Recover Out Loud, episode 111. Wild. So if you believe in spiritualism and you're a spiritual person, 111, that's a very special number. It's an angel number. Crazy, crazy stuff. But today we got a really awesome guest. Today we got Steve Feldman. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, Sean. How you doing, man? I'm really fired up to be here. Thank you.
No. Thank you. Thank you for volunteering your time and your energy into this. These conversations are important. They need to be had,
Yep, for sure, man. They got to be had, and I love what you're doing, and that's people need to hear every different angle, and you've had some really good stuff. Just caught one of your most recents, man. And, I don't remember the guy's name, but he had quite a story, and people need to hear that you can get out.
Absolutely. And that's what this is all about is sharing that story, building that connection, and from lived experience. Like it's good to hear from counselors, therapists, and psychologists, and all these people that have the book knowledge, but I find that the lived experience is much more important than that because it shows a level that they can't show, and that's human resiliency.
Yeah, man, that's really true, and I guess that's just part of the blessing of overcoming and sharing and working with others. Is that, and I use it in my program that a perspective from an addict. Um, I can feel you, man, woman. I
Yeah,
can feel you, and I think that's important.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So, Steve, would you like to give a formal introduction of yourself?
Yeah. Um, my name is Steve Feldman, and 59 years young, and father of two boys that are 34 and 38, and about to get married again here in a couple weeks. So I'm pretty fired up. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah, yep. Game changer,
Awesome.
man. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so my life story, is I thought was a normal story growing up. As at a young age, I'm the youngest of four, an older brother and two older sisters. And my parents were, excuse me, hardworking people, and always had multiple jobs, and they were entrepreneurial. We had a small business, ice cream pizzerias, when we were younger. Um, and our family, we were a family of bowlers.
Mm.
So we loved bowling. And I had a mother who was an alcoholic, and my dad who didn't drink. So that created some rift in the home throughout the years. Um, but at a young age, um, I saw my sister's boyfriends come to the house, and back in the '70s, They were partiers, and I remember getting offered, um, which was a joint back then, and I thought it was the coolest thing at 12 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and my parents were social. We had parties, the events, the holidays were pretty much hosted at our home, and there was always alcohol around. And all I saw as a little guy was people I thought were just, having fun, man. Um, and I thought life was all about that at a very young age. And into my teens, I had a family member as I was still drinking and smoking pot. At 16, I had a family member offer me cocaine, and I thought that was even better. And
Yeah.
so I was into something else at a very young age. And around that time, my parents got offered a position, an opportunity to manage a little bowling center in Rochester, New York.
Hmm.
And it was a little moose club, actually. And they liked it, loved the business. And, you know, every bowling center's got a bar.
Yeah.
So we were in there. They did very well. And they wanted to buy their own bowling center. So we made a move in my senior year and moved to Scanton, New York, outside the city, beautiful little town. And we had our bowling center there. And so at a young age, I was already into the bowling business and new guy in town, just graduating high school. And the party, and there was a really hopping bar right next door to our place. And, so the party continued. I was married shortly after out of high school, had my first son out of high school, and the party just continued because bowling and drinking went together, and the drugs went right with it. So just a lifelong journey through addiction.
Yeah.
Without getting into every detail, it turned into a divorce early on. And, in 2000, we expanded even further and we bought a bowling center in Pennsylvania. And I moved there. And so going through the first divorce and moving there, and I was clean when I moved there, but it didn't take long to run into the right people, maybe the wrong people, but
Yeah.
picked up again, drinking. I've got my own bar. I'm the new guy in town. And, that led into more drinking and drugs, cocaine, which eventually led into a 15-year run on crack cocaine while owning my own businesses. And, through that, multiple marriages, lost friendships, lost businesses, financial ruin. Um, and, I've been through outpatient programs, counselors, pastors, therapists, AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, and, most of them not just once, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
35 years, man, in and out. And, uh, you know, I found God at a very young age. I just never followed him. And so he was trying to get a hold of me many, many times throughout the years. And I guess with all that being said, um, by the grace of God, I've been able to overcome a 35-year battle with addiction. And God put it on my plate that he had said to me one day that back in like around 2016, that Steve, your time is up as you know it. If you want to stick around, the rest of your life's going to be serving others. And I said, well, he goes, you spent the time that I've given you. So I realized, and I knew what he said, man. I was just out having fun. I just thought it would, go away by itself. And so I didn't listen at that time, but there was multiple times after he tried to get a hold of me, and finally we got it under control. and God, overcame it. And then God came back to me about 3 years ago. At the same time, I met my future wife, um, and I was sitting down one day, jotting down some stuff on recovery because I've been through so many step programs and whatnot. And I just said, man, I don't know what I was thinking about at that time. I said, everything in life is a process. No matter what you're doing, man, there's a process to it. And it was like, boom, the lights went on, and I'm like, it was like God said, I want you to write this book. And I barely got out of school, man, and I didn't care for writing reports for sure. Um, so all of a sudden, I started putting down stuff for the letters in the word process, steps, and it just things started to come together, and I found myself writing 8, 10, 12 hours a day. Um, and it was just an amazing journey, really, with the Holy Spirit guiding me through this stuff. Um, so I ended up creating a Christ-centered addiction recovery program called The Process, and that will be going out to the world this September. Um,
That is amazing.
so yeah, I'm excited, man. It's a blend of biblical principles with science, neuroscience, and manifestation. I mean, it's a radical approach to recovery.
Absolutely. Typically I do things in a linear fashion where I go and I talk about, I ask questions about the earlier years and then, but I want to start at the end because this is when you sent me the invite, I was like radical approach to recovery. You don't see that every day. I've never interviewed somebody that, has said, hey, I'm going to take a different approach to recovery. Um,
I'm
but it's
glad to hear
very, yeah, it's good. It's really good. And so right off the bat, I think it's very important that when we get into recovery, like, you and I have been in recovery for a hot minute. I feel it's very important to hit recovery from every aspect, right? The science, the, on top of the science, the neurology, how our brain works, while we're under the effects of alcohol, and then long term and short term effects of alcohol and drugs and in our system, right? And then what it does to our muscular system, our skeletal system, like that's very important. I think it's important because we hear a lot of stories about how about people talking about how they contracted like HIV, HIV-C from long term alcohol use, um, or some people could contract AIDS from sharing needles, stuff like that. But we don't really hear about like the actual biological effects that it has on our system. And what are some of the things that you found while in the process of doing this?
Well, y- you know, well, first off, it was funny what you said. I want to start at the end because that's one of the premises of the process. As we start from the end and work ourselves back to the beginning. Um, and I'm more not as much into the biological part as the mind. I
Yeah.
believe there's two pillars here to recovery, and that's the heart and the mind. And from working with people in other rehab places and halfway homes, and I've seen them come back, full circle, like I've done. And I was like, man, it just breaks my heart, right? Like, man, you just got out there 3 months, 6 months, a year ago, and here you are again. It just really, that sucks, man. It hurts. But and when they come back, I'm like, these are, man, addicts are some of the greatest people on the planet, man. And this one guy, he was a chiropractor, a successful business, because there's no nobody's nobody's excluded, man, from that stuff. And I would see people coming back, and they're not different. Their mindsets were not different. They were still talking the same. I mean, I believed for a long time. I mean, how many more tools do you need, right? And that was me speaking too. I don't judge anybody, man. I've been down the road, and so I really focus on the mindset, and and why I say radical is because we work from the end to the beginning, and we talk about manifestation day one, right out of the gate. I'm talking about creating, because this is a 90-day program, and we're talking right out of the gate about creating your 90-day future self, and excuse me, right out of the gate. So we're creating a picture, building a house, so to speak, and drawing up a blueprint before we even get into any of the step work, so that each individual knows who they want to become, who do they see with their mind's eye, who are they drawing up on paper as we develop this blueprint for success. Um, I think it came for me in stages because I was clean for a while before this whole mindset piece locked into it, and then I saw the vision of where this tying this blending these things together for recovery. It's not what you've seen before, correct?
Yeah,
And but everything's proven when it comes to the mind, uh, science and neuroscience, with the ability of this amazing thing in our heads, the brain, how it can actually, you can change it. It used to be whatever you had, you thought you had, you were born with it, and that's what you got to deal with. And now science and neuroscience has proven with neuroplasticity that we can change our brains by our activities and our experiences. And we can go and create our future in advance. So we really dig in deep there, Sean, because I've been through the steps so many times. And I'm more focused on where are we going? Not
absolutely.
right, not as much behind. And then we don't brush it under the carpet. We don't forget about it. We deal with it. Because I know there's some hard conversations to be had, depending on your road. So I guess I'm a little bit of blabbering on here, but
Well, no, it really does. It makes a lot of sense, and I like how you work on manifestation in a way, in certain programs I've been in, that's goal setting, right? Like, you know, uh, a more drastic version of goal setting. You know, I've seen people work on vision boards, and that's a way of goal setting slash manifesting,
yeah,
because you're putting it out there for the universe, you're putting it in your brain, you're seeing it every single day when you walk past it, and that's automatically, you know, creating that neural pathway in your brain that says, this is going to happen.
yeah, man, you're spot
Um,
on.
yeah, yeah, and one of the things I love, Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's a really good. Okay, okay, I see you smile with that. So he talks exactly about this, the like to a T, creating, manifesting your own destiny, manifesting your own future, um, and really working with the brain to work past that. So when you were explaining that, I was like, man, that sounds a lot like Dr. Joe Dispenza, what he teaches.
Yeah,
And go ahead.
no, I'm agreeing with you. I've read so many books about this, and I'm new to it. It's not I've been doing it for lots of years, but it clicked with me, and I'm in the process of experiencing manifestation in my own life, and it's where the Lord has taken me to put this together, and 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 we talk about. I'm sorry, but we talk about the recovery, and that it's different. And here's the thing: it's just like looking back. at the telephone, right? Dude,
Yeah.
I remember growing up being able to take my phone off the wall in the kitchen with a 20-foot cord and
Yep.
go into the living room talking to somebody. And today that phone's in the palm of my hand and it holds enough information for 1,000 libraries, and I can talk to somebody across the world in a fraction of a second. Just
Yeah.
like technology is advancing and evolving, so can our recovery processes. And that's the basis of what, my belief and what I've put together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I like how when you were sharing your story about how you went to many different programs, AA, Celebrate Recovery. A lot of people don't know about Celebrate Recovery. Some people have heard about it, and I do work with justice involved veterans, and one of our participants in the program that I'm working with, he wanted to do Celebrate Recovery, and some of the team was like, "Oh, that may not be a viable source," and I was like, That's a viable source of recovery. I've seen it work for people in Alaska. I used to live in Alaska. That's where I started my recovery, and Celebrate Recovery is great. It's just another pathway to recovery.
Yeah, you nailed it, right? Because, and here's what I know just from life and through this journey is every single program has taken somebody from addiction to recovery very successful. Every one of them, right? We know it's not the program, it's the individual. And I'm the first to say about the process is that my program is not for everybody, but it is for anybody that is ready to go and
Yeah,
get this nonsense behind them. And when that person's ready, they can pretty much go into most, and they're probably going to get out. But I believe my program is a program, and I want you to go through it one time when you're ready. And I want you getting on with life in 90 days. I believe you'll be completely transformed in 90 days. And that's not a panacea for all your struggles and problems in life, but your mind will be in such a different place in 90 days that you will be on track and on target for that fulfilled life that you truly, truly want.
absolutely. I think so many people are afraid to step out into that unknown, right? To step out into something that is uncomfortable for them. A lot of people can spend an hour in AA, and then walk out and be like, I'm good, right? Whereas they go into a recovery program like a halfway house, or go into a rehab facility, and they have to sit with their demons. They got to sit in the silence. They got to sit in the uncomfortability. And I don't think so much that it's the establishment that scares them. It's more so that quiet time and what's happening between the two ears. And I think, I know for me, when I got into recovery, man, like when I took it seriously, my mine was was because of a judge, because of a charge that I picked up. Judge said, "Hey, man, like you're not okay. You got to get into some recovery programs." And so I started that, and I really looked at myself and I said, "I need to go to nose to grindstone. I got to be all in, because if I'm not all in, then I'm going to be all out, and this is a waste of time."
Yeah, all in, man. It's a key. And I talk about that with people too. That I've had a one time God had said, Steve, in this, in the midst of a full service church, said, I whited out, just standing there in praise and worship, and he says, I want all of you, or the rest of you, because I want the rest of you. And I knew immediately, I'm like, man, I, I think I'm giving it, but I'm really not all in. I'm not all in. I knew what he was saying, and even even that time, I didn't really go all in yet because of my flesh and my selfishness. Um, but that all in, that even 99% is not enough, because that last percent of you and me, man, it's not a good spot. It's not a good piece. That's the piece we got to get rid of. It's
Yeah,
easy to get rid of a lot of the little things along the way that everybody sees, and you know what I mean. I won't go there anymore, and yeah, I won't drink right now, or I won't pick up because all eyes are on me again. Um, but the low hanging fruit, but there's them last few percentage points of going all in. They're tough ones, man, because you wanna hang on to
Yeah.
something, and
It's
you
that
got
surrender.
it's that surrender for sure,
That
man.
is, that's a word I hated.
It's
So
actually it's the greatest place to be, man.
yeah.
There's a line there, and it's hard.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, like, bringing up surrender is, for me, I found myself when I got to that point of surrender where I lost all fear of everything, right? Like,
so
I,
good, man.
yeah, I had this like crippling fear of dying, right? Like anxiety, all that stuff. Like, I'd have visions of like potential death, and like I would go into these full blown panic attacks. And once I like truly surrendered, like, it's going to happen. It's out of my control. I don't know the time or date, but what I do know is I need to live my life as if uh, today was my last day. And how am I going to leave this world?
I love it, Sean. I'm in that place too. This I have such a burning desire to help others and a sense of urgency because I don't know when time's up, man. That last breath's coming for each one of us,
Yeah,
and I want to make sure that every day is 100, and I go out strong. Um, and I love that you said that once you surrender, you lost all fear. Man, what a great statement, because that's a great place to be, man.
yeah,
No fear, and that's where I'm at with this. I'm out there. I've said for a while now. I said for a while I would say I'm out of the boat, man. And now I say I've actually burned the boat. There's it's all ahead for me. I'm going all in, all for it, and we're going to change the world with this process. It's gonna become a movement, and it's gonna move across
I
the world.
believe. I believe it. So we're going to move a little bit further back into. I guess we're just going to go reverse. We're going to keep going in reverse. It's like the movie Memento. We're just going to do it. We're going to go in reverse.
Show, brother.
Um, so what was that moment that, for you, that pivotal moment that said, this life of drinking and doing drugs is just way too much. It's so far over my head. I'm so down, so lost. I need help. What did that look like?
Well, it's funny. It seems like that comes up every podcast, and as I just heard that, I'm thinking, man, I got to work on this one because 35 plus years. So, sober periods, a year, 3 years. I went a 6 year period without using, but I was drinking during that period because I thought I had control of that. Um, I can't say a specific moment. The moments that really, I think, have been a game changer was a little over 3 years ago, meeting my future wife, Jamie. Um, that's where things really took a turn, complete 180 maybe. Um, and that's when the turn. I think that's when the all in came. That last percentage hit, um, and she's a Christ follower as well, and just the power of the two of us together, and she's got her own story, and um, we just both hit it full steam ahead, and it was after that uh, the Holy Spirit approached me to write this. So everything the last 3 years has just been an incredible movement. Things came together from my past, connecting all the dots. When I wrote this program, being in the bowling industry my whole life, I developed and created so many programs. Whether it was parties or bowling programs and leagues and fundraisers and all this, I did it for years. So with that experience, um, and my experience with addiction and recovery, I just put it all together in my head and just let it flow on paper, which developed what today is called the process. Um, so I say more moments because if I mean, I can tell you there was times that I would have I would have bet the house that I was all in at different times because I hit rock bottom, lost every penny, lost businesses. So a lot of a lot of down times over 35 years, man.
Yeah.
But 3 years ago was probably when everything just turned, and it's just momentum is crazy. So
Yeah. So I don't I refrain from using the word or the term rock bottom on the show. Not that from my guests, but just asking a question because there's some people have one rock bottom where they hit it and they've learned and they're like, okay, there's only one way but up. And then some of us, we just keep tumbling. We hit what we think is a rock bottom, and then we just roll over and we hit another one and another one to the point where it's like we've had so many rock bottoms in our life. You would think we were Dwayne the Rock Johnson, you know?
yeah, man.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I don't like to use the term rock bottom because it looks different for everybody. Um, but you kind of alluded to my next question, so I was gonna skip that. I was gonna say, what was the lowest that your addiction took you, but is losing businesses, losing everything in your recovery. So when you started your recovery and you continued on into short term and long term recovery, what is the biggest lesson that you have learned, either in the program or about yourself?
Well, I think, and it's really it's it's melted and molded into the process is personal growth and self development. That accelerated. I say this that this program will accelerate the recovery process like nothing you've ever seen. Um, and and not to skip things and forget about it. It'll just if you're ready, this will take you to places you haven't been, and you'll be done with this. And so, um, uh, what was the question exactly?
What is the biggest lesson that you've learned while in
Yeah,
recovery?
personal growth and self development. Once I really went all in on myself, reading books and studying people that have been down the road, it just catapulted me to places. Just I look at it like addictions. This experience, this thing that's here. And as I started to grow myself, I just got further and further away. And I noticed in many programs, they didn't do that for me. They just, I was always still close. I just never fit into those programs. I just always felt still kind of close to that addiction. Even if I was in a good place, I just mentally, my mindset, once my mindset changed, I had a complete paradigm shift in the way I look at recovery and look at life. When I changed, my whole world changed. So it's, for me, it's a big part of my program is personal growth and self-development.
Absolutely. And you were talking about how in certain programs, you felt like you couldn't just get away from that, that addiction part. And I would agree, and I'm going to say this, might not be too popular amongst some of the viewers or listeners, but I'm going to say it here because we only speak like our truth here. And so my truth is that one of the reasons I stopped going to AA, and one of the reasons why I stopped going to those 12-step programs was because they identify themselves as alcoholic, regardless as to where they are in their recovery. So they can be day one and they're an alcoholic. They can be on year 30 and they're still considering themselves an alcoholic, which puts a label on you. And it really puts a glass ceiling on you, right? Like, this is as far as I'm going to get. And my disease is keeping me sick. Look, if you're sick in your home and you've got mold, you're not going to let that mold spread, right? You're going to do something about it. You're going to scrape that mold off, or you're going to replace the sheetrock, whatever, drywall, whatever you have. Why would you put yourself in a position to remain sick by a disease that so many men and women have worked through and it no longer plagues them? That is my problem with AA.
Well, uh, and I will respond and piggyback off of that because Sean, the second you said it, you were going towards it. I knew where you were going. All right. And again, it's just I don't knock AA.
Yeah.
It's helped probably millions of people. But I believe that's one of the cases of recovery evolving, and that to me is a program that hasn't, and it's okay. I got nothing against it. That would be that's my kind of the one that I refer to say that was one thing I never could do. I could never go into that room and say that because I'm a Christian and I say what God says about me. He doesn't. I'm not a drug addict. I'm not an alcoholic. So those words never came out of my mouth in those rooms. But and I will say this too. That that I feel like I'm depressed every time I left one of those meetings, and I've been in those rooms several times in different states, different areas. Um, and again, I'm not knocking it; it just didn't work for me. But
Yeah.
and that's one of the things. I mean, my program this is this is new, and so I'm at the very beginning stages of creating something big, and it's just because that's what God has shown me. But my that example, the rooms that you'll come into for the process are very lit up, very energized, and it's not the rah rah, but you know what? I'm going to encourage you, man. I want you to be good, and you know what? I know there's hard conversations. I know what's coming, and that's okay. But through it, I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to lift you up. We're going to talk about positive affirmations, words of affirmation. I want your mind being poured into with, for me, in our program, biblical principles, and then just positive affirmations all the way through. And, and by the way, everyone comes at a different point. So we don't preach to people and we won't be telling you what to do, but you will have that opportunity if it strikes you throughout the program. And if not, that's okay too, because we blend it all together. But
Absolutely.
I want these rooms. So I'll be developing these rooms as it gets started. Um, so yeah, I want the atmosphere and the environment to be like, yeah, man, these dudes are good. This is, it's not to be fun, but you know what? We're not going to be negative. And I get it. I get where you're coming from. I've been in some really nasty, dark places, man. So I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, I mean, AA, I think AA is great. I really believe the 12 steps helps. It's helped me out. I'm sure it's helped you out. I believe that, the serenity prayer, I can't deny that the serenity prayer has helped me out. It has, definitely. One of my aha moments in life came after I said the serenity prayer and like one of the hardest situations in my early recovery. I think, well, one of the things I was going to say was that, standing up there and saying, my name is so and so and I'm an alcoholic. I've gotten a side eye because when I would stand up to say something, I would say, "My name is Sean, and I'm a person in long-term recovery," because that defies the odds and that defies the perspective that we all have. And I say it proudly. I'm not afraid to say I'm in long-term recovery. I'm not a victim. And so, for me, I think AA works great. And it's for some people, like it worked, a time for me. It worked, I was in AA for a year and a half, and I thought it was great. But then it came a certain point where I was like, okay, I'm no longer not an alcoholic. Like I'm not going to call myself that. And I didn't pick apart the program. I just said this is what I didn't like about it, and I'm going to move on to something that serves me, and I did. Um,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. So your program sounds really awesome, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. And I'm really excited to see um, how it grows because it sounds absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Appreciate that, man.
Yes. Before we shut down shop, I always ask my guests this: what are three things that you are grateful for today?
Well, first and foremost, I'm grateful for the relationship with Jesus Christ. That's number one. That's that's got me through it all. Today, I'm grateful for my children still loving me unconditionally, and because they've seen the best of me and they've seen the worst of me. And I'm grateful that third, I'd say I'm grateful for God bringing this woman into my life. It's that I'm going to have the opportunity to spend the rest of my time with and build the kingdom of heaven and impact lives uh, and break the chains of addiction for thousands and thousands of people throughout the world.
Absolutely. Isn't it amazing when we get somebody that is in our corner that is willing to fight with us
Dude,
for something instead of fighting against us?
it's a game changer, man. Yeah, I'm
Abs-
holding on tightly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, brother, I think that you're going to be going a long distance and you have an amazing, amazing tasking on your hand. And I am so grateful to have met you and to know you. And I cannot wait to see where this goes. I'd like to interview you in like another year, year and a half, and see where we are.
I love it, man. I would love to come back and share the all the victories, man, that are going to be out there for impacting lives. I say like I want to impact one individual at a time, one family at a time, and one community at a time.
Absolutely, absolutely, I agree. Well, brother, I want to take a moment and say thank you for spending some time with me. Thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you for sharing your program with us. That's pretty awesome. I'm excited. Like I've been saying, I'm so excited to see what you do with it and where it goes and how it can help impact not just individuals but families and communities. That's really big. And thank you for being vulnerable, man. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, Sean. I appreciate you as well. I think you're doing great things. And I'm looking forward to getting back on here with you. And just let's keep doing our work and impacting lives. That's the main thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the train keeps rolling. So
Yep.
until next time, everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. Thank you for listening. And I want to say, be kind to yourself, be gracious to yourself, and love yourself. You are worthy, you are worth it, and you are loved. Have a good day.